Hello everyone, I'm Ronald Mehta and welcome back to marketing91.com. We provide management and marketing training to students and professionals worldwide through our courses, videos and community. This video is part of our comprehensive take on the gamut of human resource management. Let's start with employee training. Well, this video on employee training will involve the following parts, starting with the introduction and meaning, lots of examples and case studies, types of employee training, how to create an employee training program for your company, learning and development versus the gamut of employee training, and finally, the advantages of training for the employee as well as the employer. Let's start. The term employee training refers to a planned series of activities for educating staff members in your company in a way that increases their job-related competencies needed for organizational development. As stated by Henry Ford, the only thing worse than training your employees and having them leave is not training them and having them stay, as stated by Henry Ford. Well, having them stay and not training will have serious consequences or repercussions for your company in the long run. Moving on. The term employee training refers to a deliberate sequence of events for teaching your staff in such a manner that improves their job-related competencies necessary for organizational development. Technological, professional, or management abilities are the examples of such kind of training. Moving on to examples and case studies now. Let's start with P&G. Learning and development a priority at P&G. P&G has been dubbed a breeding ground for entrepreneurs, with 4 former employees who now operate their own companies as examples. A former employee of P&G stated, "P&G is the best place in the world to learn how to run a business." They adhere to 70-20-10 learning paradigm, which states that 70% of learning should come from experience, 20% should come from peers, and 10% from formal training. The fact that P&G allows employees to have professions or roles within a career is what makes the company's culture so special. As stated by one of the employees, "We get to move around and have different experiences within the same company, learning new and different skills with each assignment." Moving forward, the example of Amazon. Well, Amazon's mentorship platform, Chromis. Whether it comes naturally or as a result of approved business initiatives, mentoring is an essential component of every successful firm. In collaboration with internet-based coaching platform Chromis, Amazon debuted its mentoring program for the first time in 2016. Thanks to this technology, Amazon can now connect mentors with mentees depending on their career stage, geography, and areas of interest or competence. Moving forward, employees have the option for searching for co-workers using several criteria. Once a match is made, a mentor and mentee are provided with a plan and tools to assist them both in achieving their objectives. All employees, including those paid per hour, have access to the program, which has seen growth from 18,800 members in 2016 to about 160,000 staff members as of 2022. With the help of the service as a platform, Chronis, the company can design a customized curriculum and set of benefits for its staff members. Moving on to our next example in the service industry is of Singapore Airlines. One of the lengthiest and most extensive training programs in the airline business is offered by Singapore Airlines, which lasts for 4 months. This includes for their pilots as well as cabin crew. Here is a photo of a cabin crew trainer at one of the mock-up training program areas at the Singapore Airlines Training Academy. Moving forward, flight simulators at the Singapore Airlines Training Academy. In addition to classroom sessions to stay current with all the admin and regulatory requirements, pilots get frequent training in aircraft simulators to evaluate and assess their abilities in a range of circumstances. Moving forward, the evacuation techniques of the cabin crew are put to test in a variety of real-world circumstances, from mock-up situations where the cabin is filled with smoke to opening doors and using evacuating slides on land and in the sea. We'll see the pictures in the coming slides. There is also a wine section where sommeliers may learn more about wines, so no effort is spared in the education of the cabin staff. A number of sizable mock-up rooms are packed with exact reproductions of the various aircraft cabins and the Singapore Airlines already has in its fleet. They are made such so that based on the class of cabin they will be working in, the cabin crew may practice serving guests in the proper manner. Obviously, the service differs in the economy, business and the first class, so having a mock-up room of each of the class makes a lot of sense. Moving forward, inside of one of the training areas, the Singapore Airlines Training Academy. As you can see, the evacuation doors. The whole height of an airplane can be reached from an enormous hall in a different location wherein evacuation slides can be placed. a functional model of each of the several entrances and escape hatches the crew will need to know how to use in an emergency is located in the same chamber. Moving forward, the water evacuation training hall at one of the academies. The academy also has a water evacuation training pool which is located next door in another spacious hall. This is where the crew receives instruction on what to do in case an aircraft makes an emergency landing in the sea. The crew must swim while wearing uniforms, which can be particularly difficult for female cabin crew members wearing sarong kebayas because the pool can produce waves. So they must not only leap down the slides, but they should also need to swim in the simulated wave pool. Moving on to another example of artificial intelligence by a company called as Obrizium. The company raised about $11.5 million for its platform for AI-powered staff training, which is useful for many companies. With the funding round has been completed by the company, which aims to aid businesses in enhancing their staff training initiatives. Obrizium is a software platform situated in the United Kingdom that claims to cut down on the time and labor needed to produce staff training materials. Obrizium claims that since it launched in the year 2015, it has amassed a sum of $17 million in funding from investors. Well, the platform has the ability to take in current educational materials from a business and even some associated materials like business papers. The contents are then automatically put together into classes by built-in artificial intelligence algorithm, which refers to as knowledge spaces. Among the businesses that make use of the platform are the University of Cambridge, Merck & Co and Barclays. Moving on to another AI-powered training. To make staff training more fun, VR firm Pixera raises £5 million. Pixera, a company in virtual reality, has secured £4.9 million funding in initial round of investment for its platform for virtual reality gaming in businesses. Since its founding in 2010, Pixera has worked to make workplace training more engaging by bringing the rules and mechanics of virtual reality games to organizations that want to improve employee skill sets. For the purpose of providing virtual training opportunities for professionals, businesses like Virtus Tech, Fundamental VR, and MoonHub have begun to amass investment. Shell, BP, and GE are a few of Pixera's stated business clients. Leadership, safety, and mental assistance among the skill sets in which the startup offers training. Moving on to Mercedes-Benz spending about 1.3 billion euros on employee training. The world of employment is radically altering as a result of electrification and digitization. All of Mercedes-Benz profiles will continue to develop as a result of the change. By 2030, Mercedes-Benz will devote upwards of 1.3 billion euros to ensure that all of its employees in Germany are qualified, trained, and receive ongoing education. The company's qualification has been elevated to a new level by the significant effort by Turn to Learn. There were about 75,000 people that attended training sessions in the year 2021. Moving on to another example of training in the metaverse by Emirates. In order to provide effective and precise training techniques through simulated real-life circumstances, the metaverse technology is now being utilized to teach cabin crew. The leading airline currently has 16,000 cabin crew members, but they hope to increase this number by 4,000, so that will near 20,000 by the end of 2023. Training both newly hired and existing cabin crew members will be a significant focus of the metaverse. Cabin crew will be able to walk in the plane and analyze every small detail of the airline service. For similar purposes, an A350 was being assembled in California. It was possible to mimic entering the airplane and examine every feature using VR and the metaverse. The objective here is expected to be accomplished by the end of the next year, according to an announcement made by the Chief Operational Officer. Moving on to the types of employee training. Well, there are several types, as we can see here, and we'll be spending a brief amount of time on each type of training. Let's start with the first one, which is training during onboarding. The goal of the onboarding process is to get the new hire comfortable with the fundamentals of their new position. This is a crucial component of training new staff just because of that. Onboarding is a process of outlining numerous facets of the work, providing the new team members with fundamental knowledge and digital abilities that they will need to use for the required productivity tools from the first day. Next, training in the workplace. One might or might not need to give an employee extensive coaching on soft skills and hard skills based on the extent of expertise they bring to the table. In contrast to the soft skills, which help individuals contribute positively to the workplace culture, hard skills will enable them to do their jobs more effectively. It is typically required to provide new hires with some amount of on-the-job training. At number 3 is reskilling. The workers will need a refresher course in their skill sets on a frequent basis. Discussions during these training sessions center around current developments in the field, including trends, concepts, and technologies. As workers want to create a solid foundation through their skills for a better future, reskilling will now be required starting in 2023, post-pandemic. At number 4, training in hard skills, as I mentioned before. In order to provide workers with the necessary hard skills to do their jobs effectively, this is a key element of workplace training. Digital skills like data science or coding, as well as expertise in other fields like management of social media, copywriting, business analysis, etc. are all examples of this. At number 5, soft skills training. Because they enable employees to work together, resolve difficulties at work, and communicate with clients, soft skills nowadays are essential to their productivity. A focused soft skill training program is extremely important, especially in companies that do not require a lot of labor. The growth of leadership includes this as well. At number 6, training on anti-harassment. Depending on the size of your business and the location of your expertise, this kind of training can be required by law in certain countries. Employees are instructed on proper conduct in the workplace, corporate policy, and the procedure for reporting workplace harassment using the resources and tools at their disposal. At number 7, training on diversity, which is the need of the hour. Diversity training is becoming a more popular strategy for businesses to improve employee behavior and attitudes. To eradicate prejudice and increase workplace inclusivity is one of the main goals. To be able to make objective judgments, diversity training may be given to HR and leadership staff in particular. At number 8 is succession planning. We have discussed this in one of our videos. A worker will require specialized training, leadership, soft skills, and strategy as they advance up the corporate ladder. Executive coaching may be used to drive this, and middle managers may also gain from it. The succession planning roadmap will establish whether or not each employee needs coaching. At number 9 is individual coaching or mentoring, again covered in one of our videos. The employee is given a personal trainer in the situation who walks them through the learning process. The internal community may be used for mentoring, utilizing the qualified individuals who are already working for your organization. Conversely, coaching could involve the involvement of outside specialists. Mentoring involves two parties. The knowledgeable individual is the mentor, and the one gaining or being trained is the mentee. At number 10, e-learning. In this paradigm, the necessary learning materials are made available to employees digitally, either through massive open online courses or through a learning management system. An exact time frame is established, and the worker can choose a practical training plan with that time frame. The certificates that may be included with the e-learning might improve the employee's general employability. At number 11, training on safety and adherence. Training on safety and compliance procedure for workers, typically in factories, is required on a routine basis. Training exercises on safety and compliances must be conducted on onboarding and immediately following a regulatory change because these are the two critical items. At number 12 is a hands-on training, also known as apprenticeship. This is helpful for training new hires throughout the onboarding process since recruits may observe supervisors and staff and may pick up the relevant skill set. Since 70% of learning occurs by means of experiences according to the 70-20-10 paradigm, this training technique takes advantage of this cognitive propensity. Well, these were the 12. One of the additional ones which is in line with today's ongoings is role-play simulations, as we saw in the case of the metaverse training for Emirates cabin crew. Role-playing games were a common method of teaching diversity and soft skills in the pre-digital age. Nowadays, simulated worlds are easier to access because of the development of augmented reality and virtual reality. Basically, this strategy involves putting staff members in actual work situations so they may watch and pick up things. Moving on to how to create an employee training program. First, identify skill gaps. Analyze the effect that present employee behavior is having on organizational objectives. Then identify particular learning objectives and examine disparities between the set of skill sets now and the ultimate set of skills. There are several training targets that training program for employees should ideally focus on. Number 2, offer an individualized learning experience. One style may not always suit everyone when it pertains to instructional training, particularly when it refers to students and staff. Employees no longer worry about lagging behind thanks to the more dynamic and tailored learning environment this generates. Additionally, businesses may want to consider hiring expert trainers or coaches to conduct intensely individualized training sessions. At number 3, factor in the nuances of the forgetting curve. It is imperative for forgetting curves to be taken into consideration in the workplace learning program. If a company does not, it can be losing out on a significant return on the spending in staff training. Suppose the information related to training is not applied in the actual world and quickly. In that case, a forgetting curve suggests that it may gradually deteriorate over time. Human resource may address this by utilizing the effectiveness of simulation in hands-on learning, both of which require workers to put their abilities to test in real-life scenarios. At number 4, different layers of training. By combining learning opportunities and training methodologies to addressing crucial company customer needs of the employees, multi-layered training activities may be used to provide a long-term improvement in performance. The best training programs incorporate many teaching methods to enhance the learning process. Worker cross-training is something else the company might want to think about. In addition to ensuring cross-department functionality, this also ensures that procedures are never reliant on a particular people. By fostering a greater sense of ownership for the large organizational picture among employees, it also boosts engagement, productivity, and morale. At number 5, perfect the feedback mechanism. It is a good idea to get feedback from staff members at critical points during the learning process. Employee training without feedback may not be as effective as planned. As a result, it may not be utilized to its full potential in daily work routines. The program may be improved for subsequent cycles with the assistance of a strong feedback loop that will provide a better understanding of the learner's emotions and reactions. As a result, while training a new hire, the inefficiency of your earlier programs will not be duplicated and the training will gradually gain more significance. At number 6, the nuances of the deadlines. Employees may be undergoing training to provide them with the knowledge and abilities needed to complete a certain project or commercial opportunity. There will invariably be a deadline in such circumstances. A skill that must not only be partially mastered, however, might be more harmful than one has to be not learned at all. Thus, employees should not be pressured to finish the training process. Moving on to the key differences between a learning and development program and the gamut of employee training. Employee training is primarily focused on production and problem solving, where L&D is a multifaceted strategy that supports a more extensive human resource development strategy inside the firm. The primary goal of employee training is short-term projects is to increase the organization's capacity for production, whether it's goods or services. Employee training might include instruction on how to operate a new piece of software, for instance. On the flip side, taking on a new programming language with complete degrees and certificates which fall within the firm's learning and development program is the L&D gamut. Now let's look at the advantages of employee training from the perspective of the employee and employer in this slide for the employee. It reduces effort required to perform the same task due to targeted upscaling, gaining knowledge and abilities that will be helpful even after leaving the organization, promotions that result in higher pay via consistent training, promotion of leadership potential and creation of new job opportunities, and merging disparities in education, especially for individuals who lack a college degree. And finally, let's look at the advantages of employee training from the angle of the employer. A rise in productivity levels for each employee that in turn increases revenue margins for the company. Colleagues can educate their peers as a result of the snowball effect caused by transferable knowledge, which increases the process's efficiency and collaboration. Fewer penalties and fines because of a reduced number of workplace accidents. And finally, as staff members receive training in digital literacy, implementing new technologies will be easier. So that's it, folks. This brings an end to the gamut of employee training. These are the list of sources and links referred to for our content in the video. Thank you and stay tuned for more videos.